Hi, welcome to case study number 2. I'm making a quick video to walk you through this just in case you were working outside of class or maybe you wanted to start on this a little early. Just giving you another resource to make sure you're successful. This is built just like case study number 1, except it's not on motivation. This case study number 2 is all about exploring decoding and language comprehension. So, you want to have your template. You're going to make a copy of your template, and here it is. So this template, remember, you can't just jump right into the template. There are a few things you can start with. A, B, and C are not described in Canvas. A is the literacy skill assessed. That would be decoding and language comprehension. You would put the name of the assessment that you used, which you would find right here. So this would be, you could even put like animal instincts level P, because it's not super clear right where the name of this exact assessment. But if you see, this is for Hunter, and Hunter, if you watch the video, Hunter, I believe they say it right here, Fountas and Pinnell running record. So you could even put that. And then C is the description and purpose. What is the description and purpose of this assessment? So in the assessment forms, you can see that it's all about oral reading. You also are going to find out the words per minute the child can read and fluency. So depending on the certain assessment, scroll through it and summarize what it's about. So those 3 are not broken down within Canvas, but those 3, I would like you to use your brain and think, oh, I can answer that because I'm looking at the assessment. So coming back to getting started. So you have your template, it's just hanging out over here. Now you're going to pick one of these to watch. So there's a 3rd grade, there's a 2nd grader, and there's a 6th grader. So I would pick based on what you'd like to teach. Then once you decide which age group you'd like to, you are going to say, okay, I picked Ben. So you would use the assessment for Ben or Hunter or Tyler. So each one are a little different. So make sure that you're using the correct child with the correct video. I want to walk through each one. If you were to use Ben, you are going to start at minute 5 and 36 seconds. This assessment that matches what you have here for Ben doesn't start until 5 minutes in and 36 seconds. So make sure you fast forward to get to Ben. Then you'll be hearing Ben read this Whales and Fish. It goes all the way through. It has 197 words in this passage. What you're going to be doing is twofold. You're going to be adding up the number of miscues or errors. So you can put check marks next to the words that Ben did correctly, anything that Ben skipped, anything that Ben said wrong, anything that Ben did not maybe substituted the wrong word. Any error you could circle or you could put a slash through. You would count those miscues. You will also be keeping track of time for Ben. So how many minutes and seconds did it take for Ben to get all the way to the end of here? And then you're going to convert that into seconds. So you would do 197 times 60, and then you would convert however much time into seconds. Obviously, this is going to take Ben longer than a minute. So let's say it took him 3 minutes. How many seconds would that be? You add up those, so it would be 197 times 60 divided by the exact number of seconds that Ben took to read this, and you get words per minute. So that is giving you a number here. And then down here, you're going to, I believe she doesn't ask every single question. So make sure you count the number that she did ask Ben, and then the number of correct, the number of implicit, and look here, independent, instructional, and frustration. So that's a total number. So you want to see how many did Ben get correct and see what level Ben is at. For Hunter, it's along the same lines. You are going to follow along. It's okay that you don't understand what this is over here on the right. Check mark, slash, or circle any errors. Once you get down to the bottom, you're going to put the end time. The end time is how many minutes and how many seconds did it take Hunter to read this. And as you were going through, you were counting the errors. So here you can see the errors. It's telling you the rate. You can even keep track of the self-corrections. And then this one even has fluency. So you would, thinking about Hunter's fluency, give him a fluency score. And then at the end, you would calculate the words per minute. So they've already done this math for you. They're saying that in total, times 60, the number of words that were there, is 12,780. So then you have to divide that by the number of seconds. So you have to convert the minutes and seconds into seconds to get word per minute. Much like Ben, it's just laid out a little different. Then this one also has a comprehension. So the prompts would give you comprehension, and then up here it has a scoring key. Was it unsatisfactory, limited, satisfactory, or excellent? And then you would give a score. And then this shows you how to add up that score for Hunter. So although this one is set up different, it's much the same. You are going to get a comprehension score. You are going to get a fluency score here, which Ben did not have. And then you are going to get a word per minute. So Tyler's looks a little different, but again, much the same. So Tyler's you would keep track of the errors. You would make sure you're timing how long it takes. You're going all the way to the end. Once Tyler's done, you put the minute and the seconds. You calculate, you're looking at how many errors were made, how many self-corrections, and it's much like Hunter's. And then you would find the words per minute. They've already done this math for you. You have to convert your minutes and seconds into seconds, and then you would do the math. Again, you have your comprehension questions and your scoring key, and that would lead you down to scoring it at the bottom. So it would tell you proficient, approaching, limited, or not. So this is where you start. You pick a video, and then you do the assessment along with the video. Now, it's okay if you open the assessment and it looks foreign to you. Come back, watch this video, and just think it through slowly. Just don't overthink it. You just walk through. As long as you're keeping track of the number, if you check mark what was right and slash through what an error was and keep track of the time, you'll be good to do this. So once you have watched the video and gone through the assessment with your child throughout the video, you're going to come down to part D. So part D is down here. So you're going to come down to part D. You're going to think, what observations were made? As you watch this, what came to your mind? What did the child do? Were there any things that stood out for you? And that's where you put it in the observation. So just, what was the child like? Did they seem to like it? What were some observations made? And then you will, in data collected for part D, you'll look at these two, and no matter which one you use, you'll look at these two links. And these two links will take you to somewhere that will help you analyze the data that you just got. So this looks like a lot, but this is words per minute, right? So you found out how many words per minute your student can do. You also know the grade they're in. So you'll see what percentile they're in their grade based on words per minute. You need to analyze that. And then fluency. Based on their fluency that you heard, and even in Ben's, you can do this. I know you didn't have a specific score for fluency, but you're going to rate the child 1 through 4. And you'll read it through. You will rate this, and then you will get an idea of where that child is at fluently. So 1 is an emergent, and 4 is more on that really fluent reader scale. So I really don't want you to overthink this. You just look through it and make sure that you are using common sense to say, okay, I just need to keep track or I need to analyze, and don't overthink it. So once you look through and you find where the student is at in both of these scales, I want you to write that down in data collected. So data collected would say fluency is this score, meaning the child is an emergent fluency or on the high end of fluency. And then you would say word per minute, put this child in this percentile. So that would be here in data collected. And then what were your observations? And I want you to summarize that. So observations would go in part E. I want to make sure we're not skipping analysis. I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. So you're going to compare the two assessments. What observations have you made? Do you see any connections? And that's part D. So you have your data, you have your observations, and then you're going to say, hey, you know what? This child's not very fluent, and their words per minute are pretty low. I'm seeing a connection here. Or you could say, their words per minute are pretty high, and their fluency is very high. I'm seeing a connection. So your analysis is putting that data and your observations together to say, this is my thoughts. This is what I think of this student's oral reading and comprehension skills. So making sure that you're putting your thoughts here. I can't tell you what to say. This is where you would think it through. So you have part D completely filled out now, and you're moving to part E. So part E is you're writing the summary of all the data collected. You're going to write a summary of where the child's comprehension is at, where their fluency skills are at, the words per minute, and are they at grade level or are they not? So you're going to summarize all of that information. And then part F is where you think of the student's strengths and areas for improvement. So what are they doing well? And then in this idea of, remember, we're looking at decoding and language comprehension, where do they need some help? Where do they need some improvements? Once you get there, you're going to do 2 or 3 evidence-based strategies. What have we learned in our class that you could help this student either with oral reading skills, with decoding, with comprehension? So you will use what we have been learning to think of what kind of literacy activity can I do with this child to take them to the next level with decoding, fluency, and comprehension. So thinking, can they decode? Do they need more help with sight words? Do they need more help with comprehension? Can they read words, but do they not remember? Thinking, and if you don't know, go back, look it up, do some research. So I cannot come up or tell you exactly what to do, but they can be simple strategies that you would do with the child, and they need to be evidence-based. So if you found it in a PowerPoint, if you look here, you can go back to the modules. And remember, I have put these digital word study kits, phonological awareness workshop activities together. You can also go back to any of these. So if they're in the emergent literacy stage, go back to some of these that you might think, oh, well, do they need print concepts, letter knowledge, alphabetical principles? Do we need to go back to phonemic awareness? Or are we thinking about more explicit phonics instructions? Because you can use all that we've been talking about to create that next step in your case study. So your case study would summarize your teaching practices, basically. So for this case study, you want to make sure that part G is filled out with 2 or 3 evidence-based strategies that you will use to help this child based on the assessment they just took. Now, you would describe at least 2, You can use your book, you can use any research journals, and then you would write a paragraph for each instructional recommendation. So that is how I'd like you to lay it out. Then for part H, you're going to show me what you need to do that. Do you need books? Do you need phonemic awareness activities? Do you need letters? Do you need pictures? Do you need to come up with new comprehension questions? What will you use to teach these strategies that you described in G? And then also, I have linked the English language standards for AZ, and you go to their grade and you make sure you're showing me what standard you're using. So pick the grade that you're in, sift through, and write down the standard that you're using. Also, make sure you're using references. So if you use anything for your evidence-based strategies, reference that. When you're referencing the assessment, here are those references. And here is the rubric. Score yourself on the rubric. Do you have all the assessment information? Have you collected the data? Explain the findings. You have instructional recommendations 1 and 2 and sample materials. That's how I will grade you. I hope this video is helpful in case you need a little more support with this case study.